This is CliffCentral.com.
Good afternoon. Can you believe it's that time again? Hi, Chad.
Again
Yes.
already.
I mean, welcome to Auto Central on Cliff Central, powered by AutoTrader. Your trusted marketing place, where we're going to turn things up a little bit. I'm just trying to, at the same time, get my earphones to work, if you don't mind helping. We're definitely changing things up a little bit today.
Yes, it's a bit of a left field approach. And I tell you what, we've really dived into this one head first.
Or not.
It seems so. Just everything sort of half fell apart in preparation for the show. Now, of course, we like to prepare the show beforehand so that we're bringing you, quality content out there.
Yeah.
But this one just stumbling stone after stumbling stone.
Yeah, we've had some challenges, but I'm excited about the lineup. I mean, we've got some interesting things to talk about, but I think the one challenge we've had is your voice.
Yes,
Chad. I was panicking.
As you can hear, I'm a little croaky in that. I blew my voice out on Sunday doing some motor racing commentary, and that was absolutely disastrous. I'm like, okay, well, I'm really hoping that this comes back before Wednesday because I've got to do the show, and just managed to nurse it pseudo back to health. So yeah, I don't sound my same. It's
the morning voice.
Yeah, and this is the 40-a-day smoker voice. So this is like the emphysema voice. It's terrible.
We should call it the motorsport one. But where were you? Why were you screaming?
I had 2 days of motorsport commentary at the Rock Raceway. It was their speed weekend, so it was there was oval track racing, there was drifting, there was drag racing.
For 2 days?
For 2 days, yeah. Full day Saturday, full day Sunday. Well attended, I tell you what, well attended. And we had good weather as well. A little cold in the evenings, as it is. We're not out of the woods just yet when it comes to winter, but some fantastic racing, well supported by the crowd, and that it was really, really great. I mean, I really enjoyed it. So clearly I got slightly over-enthusiastic on the microphone there.
But so you don't have a release? Someone that can take over, because 2 days is hectic.
Usually there would have been. Unfortunately, I was actually I had to basically do double duty. I was just covering for the guy that usually sort of assists and that type of thing. So, but no, not the end of the world. I'm here.
Yeah, and I mean, yes, I have to say I was panicking. Don't drop me.
As was I.
Especially because, George is not here. We're going to miss you today, George, and we hope all goes well. But, we've got an awesome lineup. So just quickly to give you guys a bit of a rundown for the show, we'll give some feedback now on the MotoGP. And then we've got this whole debacle, or whatever you want to call it. It's very interesting for me, and I think it's important for people to understand how the car of the year works, the selection process, as well as the bike of the year, which started today. So there's and we have a wonderful guest here, Rueben Van Niekerk, he's on the committee of the guild, the Motoring Guild. Hi, Rueben.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We're going to get back to you just now on some relevant questions, seeing that it's quite a hot topic at the moment.
Well, it has been ever since the 2015, correct? 2015 announcement was made of the car of the year. There's been a lot of talk about it. There's been a lot of, dare we say, controversy about it. And yes. Many people debating it.
And people want to understand it.
Yeah.
100%. So we'll get back to that just now. And then
we're looking to inform them a little bit as to what went into it. We want to ask a couple of pertinent questions. Don't worry, we're going to try not to put you too much on the spot there.
Yeah, we'll try. We can't promise. And then there's some interesting facts I want to share with you guys on insurance scams. Because that seems to be quite a big issue for us, for everyone. It affects everyone. So whether you're the one doing it or being affected by it, it's relevant to listen.
Well, in all theory, everybody should be being affected by it.
Yes.
Because the knock-on effect of insurance fraud goes so much deeper.
No. It's a big
suffer at that
thing.
end.
It's really a big thing, so it's worth listening in on to find out a bit more on that. And then some interesting facts on SA car sales. Is it up or is it down? It would be interesting to see which part of it is. Yes. So figure out which part is up and down. Hey.
Yeah.
And then Chad, you're going to give us a bit of a review on the BMW 2 Series convertible.
Yeah. Then we're going to chat a little bit. I actually just got rushed here straight from the Ford B-Max launch. So that's a new exciting vehicle as well. That has just launched now today.
But you've had a bit of a difficult one with this, because it's like quarter, half a launch. How did that work?
I got a chance to drive the car, and I've got the details and the specifications on it, so I know what the car is about. I know
But
what
no
it drives
lunch,
like.
no.
Yeah, no, I didn't get any lunch. I had to rush off.
Why? It seems like Cape Town, all the Cape Townians and all those journalists.
No. There is a lunch, and the guys are enjoying it, but they're enjoying it right now.
I
had other places
we
to
have
be.
some work to do. Hey? Well, and then we're going to just talk a little bit, with the car of the year. Rueben, I think we can, if you don't mind, let's go straight into it, because this is a really hot topic, and I'm very interested because I understand the bike side of it quite a bit more. It's something Chad and I would like to know from the car side, because I think am I right in saying the last 3 years Porsche has been number one?
Yes, that's true.
All right. Now, the question that people are basically asking is, I think, firstly, to understand why Porsche, and how does the selection process work?
Okay. Maybe we should start with 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good place to start with that one, actually. Yeah.
3 years ago, the Porsche Boxster, the 2.7, won. At that point in time, the Porsche was 597,000 rand. Its closest competitor, the SLK and the BMW, were both over 750,000 rand. Okay. So from a value perspective at that point in time, it was a very strong competitor. The year after, the Porsche Cayman was also a very, very strong car. And when we got to last year, once again we had a very strong candidate. But nevertheless, how the lineup works, there's a whole process that starts to pick the sort of the top 20 or 30 cars in the country. Then they're called semi-finalists. And then we finally get to a point where we only have 10 or 12 or 8 finalists, depending on every year where the natural cut-off points lie.
So I just want to understand quickly. So when we get to those finalists, who chooses the finalists?
The finalists ultimately then would be chosen by the jury.
Okay, so the jury is the guild.
Well, your initial stages of the story, of the selection process is the entire guild. Okay. Eventually, it's only the jury that selects. The jury will sort of determine the 20 finalists, and then ultimately the semi-finalists, and then ultimately out of the 10 finalists or 8 finalists, they'll end up choosing a winner. The winner is the car with the most points. The cars don't compete with each other. Yes. Each car competes in its category. So when Porsche, for example, won so many times, which was a historic occasion, we had a scenario where they did perform very, very well in terms of their class.
Porsche now?
Yes, Porsche.
Okay. But now, what I want to understand, though, is, so now we've got a whole jury there, sitting there. So they must have driven all of these cars by now, surely?
Yes.
Okay, so the cars that end up going to this finalist position, each and every journalist that's there has driven it, tested it, done its bit, and now they get to vote.
Yes.
Or give it points.
At the final stage, when we've now all driven the cars, we normally spend 2 days at a hotel close to Geratech, and then we do a final road testing. So even if we've tested it all before, we do it again. And then at Geratech, there's quite a range of very, very evolved testing that happens. So when a car ultimately performs strong at Geratech, I can assure you it's a good car. For example, in the last competition, the points were very, very close between Mercedes, Audi, and Porsche. It was literally not even probably a percentage point difference.
But I want to ask why, and Chad, I don't know how you feel about this, but why would you call it a competition if in its own right each vehicle is basically on their own? For example, Porsche's, they're in their own league. From what I've read and everything I'm seeing that's going on about this specific, for them winning again.
No, Wilmarie, that's quite loaded as it is, I think. But I'd just like to start for those that are actually listening out there that don't know Car of the Year too well. Could you explain what sort of aspects or what sort of criteria are you looking at when it comes to selecting, while you guys, and you've got the jury and you've got the panel there, what are you looking at and how are they scored in that sense? Just so we've got a slightly better idea of how that works before we get into competition.
You look at value for money. So if we're talking, for example, let's say Porsche, seeing that Porsche is now in the conversation, you would compare that car versus its peers. And then usually there's 3 or 4 main competitors that would compete with a car that is not actually in the competition. So what you would look at everything from the running costs of the car, the future value of the car. You'd look at the dynamics, you'd look at the design, you'd look at how many things are loaded into the car as standard versus that you have to buy in.
Why future value?
It's very important. If you buy a car, you ultimately want to know what you're going to get for it.
Okay, so in other words, if you had to sell it, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
The resale
so
value of a vehicle.
That's very interesting, because I don't think anyone looks at it like that when you buy a car.
Nobody looks at that, and Porsche's fantastic.
Yeah, it's one of those things that people should be looking at is,
and the depreciation value.
Yeah, depreciation value, resale value, and that. And believe it or not, many people do, and that's why you've got pretty much in South Africa, you've got a handful of core brands that actually do surprisingly well, and people will buy it no matter what. And that keeps its resale value. So they can produce what is a subpar or less than standard car, and people are still going to buy it because of the badge, because of the resale value attached to that brand.
No, it's true. And I mean, often you look at cars that are quite long in the tooth, but because they're popular and they sell large volumes, they remain popular. And I mean,
give us some examples on those.
Well, if you, for example, look at the Toyota Hilux, it's right at the end of its lifespan. I mean, the new one is now out, basically. But still, the Hilux for a very long time did very well. I know it's not a very good example because Ford has been rah-rah-rahing about how well the Ranger has done, and it's the best-selling car in South Africa. But nevertheless, the Hilux did very, very well for a car that has been going for so long. But part of the reason why the Hilux has done very well is because your Hilux resale values are excellent. Its part pricing is very good. So there's all those factors.
And the same bodes for, let's say, the Toyota Corolla as well.
Totally.
I mean, you take a look at, if you go back to your 90s models Corollas, they're still fetching X amount of money. And that just shows you, once again, and both the same make, both Toyota, and people are buying a brand in that sense. And I don't doubt that similar will happen with, let's say, the smaller Etios, Auris and that. They will hold their value because there's a Toyota badge on it.
And another classic example of a car that really, really has done very well on value is the Ford Figo. Ford Figo is probably one of the best value for money cars you can buy.
Okay, but this is an interesting point for me, and I want to get back to that now that you mentioned the Ford Figo. But I just want the listeners to be able to join in on the conversation if they want. You can phone us on 0861 555 189 or at cliffcentral.com, or go to the Facebook Cliff Central, or WeChat Cliff Central as well. And remember at AutoTrader as well, AutoTrader SA.
Yep, at AutoTrader SA.
Now, you're saying the Ford Figo is a very popular car, and it's within its right, in terms of cost, value, etc. I'm assuming. Am I right in saying that's why? Yet, it will never win Car of the Year.
Not entirely true. About 3 years ago, Ford Figo was in the competition, and it did actually do very well. I think it came third.
Okay, but it won't win based on, am I right in saying, because I want the consumer to understand, because, we tend to, a lot of people go by, yes, I agree with you, Chad, in terms of loyalty, and call it habit. You're used to a brand, you want to kind of stick with it.
Familiarity.
Yes, I like trying new things though, but then I go and I do reviews and I check what are people saying about it. If I have to just use an example of wanting to buy the best superbike out there, I want to go race it, I want to know from the top people, what are they saying about it. So in this case, I would want to go to the guild and to see what do you guys have to say about the best car.
Sure.
But my price range is not going to manage the Porsche.
No, the price. It's not about price at all. So, for example, theoretically, something like a Figo can totally win. But there is factors that are important to consider. One of them is whether the car's new. So the car that enters the competition has to have been launched within a reasonable period of time. I think it's currently 12 months, or it's currently longer. We're trying to shorten the period, so that if the car's internationally been launched like 7 years ago, we don't think it should feature much locally because, it's not a new car.
It's going to be kind of outdated.
Like your superbike scenario, would you want to buy a 7-year-old superbike that just gets you? No, exactly. So we've been on the new rules and regulations of the that we've been looking at. The newness of the car, or the freshness of the car is very important. The design of the car is crucial. What it comes with is crucial. The safety aspects is important. Then you're looking at, that's way before we get to dynamics or performance. I can read you some of the factors that will be considered now.
And this is now by the the members.
By the jury.
If I may just interject there and just ask, is this now new regulations that are going to go forward for 2016?
Yes.
And not what 2015 was based on?
No,
yes, because there's changes.
Yes.
Firstly, what are those changes in the rules?
Well, the changes are the following. These are quite major. We're looking at exterior aesthetics. We're looking at interior design and practicality.
There's Chad's key one.
Safety and technology, handling and dynamics, performance, efficiency, value for money, overall excellence. But now, very important, for the first time in the history of the competition, we're going to digitalize it. So all the scores, every single thing has to be scored. So in the past, where you'd kind of ultimately just submit your final score, now every sub-aspect has to be there. And you can only have so many points to allocate in terms of the top scores. So, for example, every car, let's assume there's 10 cars, will have then a total of 80 categories. Not every car, all 10 cars together will be 80 categories that you have to score. And you will have a little basket of points.
So it's 8 to 10 points per car?
No. I'm saying in total.
I mean categories. Yeah, 8 to 10 categories.
There's 8 categories.
Okay.
But every car has to be scored on every single of those categories.
Yes.
So it gives you 80 little boxes to tick.
Okay.
You then have only a certain number of points in total to allocate. You will only have you'll have 8 10s to allocate. You'll have, for example...
Okay, so you might give a 4 out of a 10, is that
well,
what you're
you'll
saying?
only have so many good points to allocate,
yes.
and you'll only have so many bad points to allocate.
Okay.
So what it means is that even as a jury member, you'll have to really apply your mind and think about how many points you've got. In the past, you could be much more of what we used to jokingly refer to as wildcats, the John Wayne scenario. Stumble into the bar with your Colt 45s and you randomly grab cars and it's a 1 or a 10 or a 2 or
and go for it.
And completely upset the apple cart. But what this does is you won't be able to sit there and take one car and give it 10s across the board because you've only got X amount of perfect scores that you can award.
Yeah.
And you don't want to necessarily spend that all on one car. So it's about point. Yes, there's points allocations. I understand how it works. So that hasn't changed too much in that sense.
That's quite drastically, because in the past you had, for the first couple of years, a few years ago, you had 25 points in total. Mm-hmm. And you would have to score between 3 and 7 cars. Then the point situation changed. You got 50 points, and you'd have to score up to 7 cars. Mm. Then we changed it to say that you can score more than 7 cars. You can score every car. But then, about 2 years ago, we had 12 cars. So you ended up with an average score of like 4.666.
Your points just didn't go far enough.
Yeah.
Didn't have enough points. So what happened then is you ended up with fairly low averages, and then you would have people that would say, hang on, I don't like these low scores. I'll give somebody a 1 and I'll give that one a 10. So you tended to have much more extreme score patterns. What the new system does is it evens out the score patterns. It's statistically analyzed.
So who worked out these score patterns? Because that can't be an easy job.
No. It's not. We initially started with looking at the statistics saying, it is questionable. Then we got in some outside help.
To just help structure the whole...
To physically look at where the weaknesses would lie. Because ultimately with any person, even in a competition like this, there's a certain number of factors that are subjective and a certain number of factors that are objective. And what we've got to do is be very careful with the subjective factors. And have a system where if you're going to, obviously you can't eliminate subjective. But if you're working on that kind of basis, you've got to have a system where you are forced to only have a certain number of points.
I'm going to just upset the apple cart a bit. And let's say, I'm a dealer. Or I'm sorry, I'm a manufacturer now. Think about this, Chad. If you're the owner of Porsche, or he should be happy by now. Christo, we'll get him in. Not Christo, sorry, Toby. We'll get him in soon. Actually, first week of October, so we can hear his side of it. But a manufacturer, let's say Honda or Ford or whoever, if they don't get the score that they want, are they happy with the process? Because that should also be important.
Yes.
There's two sides to this.
Now that's what actually happened now with 2015, and please do correct me if I'm wrong. Is that there was a very, very large outcry, and I understand it as well. We're going to go back to that loaded question that I was talking about earlier. they are the manufacturers, the dealerships, even to a slightly lesser extent, the public, some of the jury members in that as well. They were quite upset and quite perturbed by the decision that was made. The guild and the jury had their reasoning for that, for their decision, and yeah, you guys did it by the numbers. But they were quite upset about it because of what it means to a manufacturer. Being able to sit there and punt their brand as being car of the year, or even 3 times car of the year. And
yeah, because that's like really
it's a lot of throw, it's a lot of weight.
Since 1986, that's never happened. We've had cars that's won twice,
yeah.
Never had a 3-time winner.
Cadet and then Astra, correct?
Yes. Yeah, and BMW
as well.
So surely when you knew this, okay, we're going to now make it public, Porsches for the 3rd time, you must have thought to yourself, should we do this? We're going to get some flack for this one.
Well, basically what happens is when the announcement is made, it's totally not known by almost anybody. So at that point in time, most of the jury is as surprised as anybody else in the audience. And
okay. All right. So no one. So just to confirm to the listener that there is no one that can control the outcome of the selection process. You simply can't. There's too many people involved. It's a personal selection process.
There's a huge number of people involved, and what we've done after we analysed what had happened and whether our point system was refined enough. So what we've created now is a vastly more refined point system, and one that was looked at by statisticians and mathematicians. So it is a far different system from what we had.
So is it then safe to say that the Guild has recognized that the previous system was flawed?
The Guild realized that the previous system needed more points. That was for something that we've all been saying for a long time.
Okay, so not necessarily flawed, but that it could use improvement.
Firstly, you needed a system where every jury member would have to score every car.
Mm-hmm.
What happened is that to some extent jury members could determine whether they wanted to score every car, as long as they scored a minimum of 7. So if you got 11 cars in a competition, you could leave 4 out of your score.
Which is not fair.
No.
And that's why you've changed. That was a big change.
I was personally very opposed to that always.
Yeah.
So I've always been, even amongst the jury members, a lot of us would say, come on guys, score every car, even if it means you're going to end up with a 4.666 average. Which, nobody wants to know that your average score for the 10 best cars in the country is a 4.666. But that is something else that we need to bear in mind. The finalists have gone through an enormous vetting process. So when you ultimately end up with one winner, you're not sitting with 9 losers. You're actually still sitting with
100%. I was going to say that.
The best cars in the country.
Within their own right, they are brilliant
They're
already.
Totally brilliant. And
to be there, yeah.
Every, especially in the last 3 years when we've had these competitions, we were absolutely amazed with how solid the cars are. When you take them to Geratech and you throw them around and you drive over cobblestones, that you end up with cars that go through 2 days of punishment with no squeaks, no rattles. All of them.
But, so can I put you on the spot a little bit, Rueben? And from a personal point of view, I'm assuming that you're part of the selection process.
Yes.
You also vote.
Yes.
You do the whole thing, put your numbers down. So from a personal point of view, why did you vote for Porsche?
Yes, I did. But you must remember, we don't just vote. I vote for all the cars.
Yes.
So for as long as...
do you agree with the outcome is what I'm asking, and why?
Personally, I think the Porsche was a very, very strong contender. So even before the competition, we knew it was a real possibility that it could win. I went to the launch of the Macan in the Middle East, and looking at what the Macan was capable of off-road was incredible. When I had the Macan on test, I didn't have a X4 back-to-back. I actually physically took the Macan to Northcliffe Auto so that I could compare them. The interesting thing between the Macan and the X4 is that there's not very much of a price difference, and there's about 80 kilos of weight difference. Both of them produce 180 kilowatts. Okay. So you're looking at cars that were so similar, yet the Macan comes with such refinement that it is a great car. But then at the same time, the Mercedes-Benz was my personal favorite. And that was the kind of thing that all of us were. All of us ultimately were the top 3-4 cars. Those were probably almost everybody's favorites.
So you still get to put your personal touch in. Ultimately, that's how we choose vehicles.
And our score system up till now has been transparent. I was always very much in favor of a transparent score system, so that it is available for everybody to see. It's not a state secret. You can see exactly who scored what for which car.
Sorry, just on the off. How can you and I know this is one of the questions that has also been raised, and I feel it's a bit of a responsibility to raise it, is that how can you have a vehicle, the price of the Macan, competing up against something like a 300,000 rand Duster?
Doesn't compete with the Duster.
And
the Duster, by the way, did very well.
No, I know the Duster did very well.
But even though it's a very old car, in terms of the new rules and regulations, the Duster probably would have been disqualified.
Well, Chad, let's get back to that if you want to just comment on that. I just want to want us to play the AutoTrader ad quickly, and then after that we're going to, I think, just touch on your question again, make sure you get that answered. And then, if you don't mind, we would like the review on that BMW 2 Series convertible.
Yeah, can do that.
Choice. Sometimes you have it, and sometimes you don't. AutoTrader gives you the choice. Now you can shop, compare, and buy new cars. Watch our expert video reviews and research before you buy. AutoTrader New Car. The choice is yours.
Stand a chance to buy a brand new mystery car for just 99 cents. You heard right, 99 cents. Follow the clues on Twitter at AutoTrader SA and use the hashtag 99cent new car.
If you've just joined us, we're busy talking about the car of the year and the selection process, and we'll give you a little bit more feedback on the bike of the year just now. But just to get back to, and if you want to join the conversation, you can chat to us on WeChat, Cliff Central as well. Chad, you said something, you asked a relevant question just now. If we can just refresh that.
And it is, as we were saying, the public perception is that, these cars are competing up against each other. This is car of the year. Then how can you have a cheaper vehicle, a vehicle that costs 300,000 rand, competing up against the multi-million rand vehicle? Naturally, there is going to be a difference in the technology. There's going to be a difference in the research and development that's been put into it. It's not going to be spec'd the same, and you can't expect it to be spec'd the same because in the name of keeping the price down, it had to be manufactured in a certain cost-effective way. So how can you compare your Renault Duster up against something like the Macan when essentially they are both SUVs?
See, up to now, we forget that a lot of the very, very basic cars did win. So if you're talking about the competition, that really let's say it's 10 finalists. Every finalist really competes against its own competitors. So for example, the Macan would have competed with the X4 as a main competitor.
And it's already there, so it's already the best in its amongst its competitors. That's what you're saying.
The C-Class would have had more competition. It would have had the 3 Series. We would have the A4, possibly the Lexus GS range, and so some cars just might have 7 or 6 competitors.
And that's now a totally different angle to it as well, because how many competitors did the Macan have?
Macan close, I'd say. To be truthfully honest, probably mainly the X4, although there were other cars that would fall over, like the Audi Q5, but the Audi Q5 was longer in the tooth. X4 was fresh.
Yeah, and now you sit there with vehicles. A4 was in there as well, correct? Yes. As one of the finalists.
Also did very well. A4 came third.
Now, it does really well, but I mean, that is competing in a market segment where there is so much more variety in that. So, I mean, it's already struggled through the weeds and through the bushes there to make it out to the top, but then it gets put by somebody that only had to fend off 3 cars type thing.
Well, it's true. I think ultimately
so you're looking at it from that point of view.
It's a fact that especially your sort of 200,000 to 300,000 rand cars have a bigger competitive market. Yeah, and they're actually much more interesting, I think, to analyze.
So who was Porsche competing against?
Mostly the Q5 and the X4.
Okay, so there are 2 competitors.
But not only, but I mean, those were the strong ones. We always look at the main competitors and the not so strong competitors. But for example, the Duster also operates in its own category.
Yeah, no, that one's a little less. Okay. But when you come to your sedans and those, those C-segment coupes and C-segment sedans and that's extremely hotly contested. You can pick just about any manufacturer and they've got a vehicle that can, fit that description.
But something I'd like to say about the Duster is it's truly an incredible car. It really is. We on the off-roading.
You're not getting sponsored by them, right?
No.
I'm just checking.
just checking.
The Duster is one of those cars. It's a real, kind of a car that you look at it in the competition and you think, wow, okay. But
how did you get here?
Yeah, because I mean, it's kind of older. It's and then when you look at the price, the car, the quality, the off-road capabilities, it's superb. Then once again, it brings you back to that point. That car was one of the top 10 cars in the country.
That's it. Yes.
The Picasso was there, and it's a very different car from, let's say, the M4, which was also there.
So Rueben, just to sum up this Car of the Year selection process, am I right in saying that the cars that are already finalists now is already won within their categories?
Yes.
So now the selection process, let's call it a competition, of the finalists, becomes a much bigger picture. It's not necessarily what's going to suit your budget. It's just about what is a good example of a vehicle within the current.
And the finalists are the best of the best.
Yes.
Really.
And Porsche is what you're saying is ticked everyone's boxes, basically.
It's ticked everyone's boxes, but where they did very well, if you analyze them statistically, is that everybody liked them quite a lot. You know, so if you...
I want one.
What was I talking about last week? I was talking about HTF. That's your head turn factor, and yes, you get considerably more HTF in a Macan as what you do in a Duster and A4, C-Class.
And you then take a car like the Toyota Corolla 1.4 that was in the competition as well. I mean, that 1.4 diesel is just the sweetest engine. It's a really, really amazing car.
So there's also a lot of, amongst the jury, it's very much personal as well. I mean, like a bike, there's certain bikes that are going to scream out to me and some that won't. But Chad, tell us a little bit more about the BMW 2 Series.
All right, John, the one that we're reviewing now is the BMW 2 Series. So this is now the
The convertible, hey?
Yes, it's the convertible one. It's F53, I believe it is. And I did the launch of the 2 Series convertible down in the Cape, and I had a chance to sample the M235, and it's a complete beast. It's got the N52 straight 6.3 3-liter motor and stupid amounts of power, and it's just a hooligan machine. And then you've got the fact that the roof comes down. But now I had the 220i on test, so I was actually quite keen. This is now the entry level one because it's offered in 3 different model designations: 220i, 228i, and then of course the M235. M235 is not a bespoke M car. It's an M package on the car. It's a sports model. Nice. I'd like to see it in a dedicated M version, but
as a convertible.
Yeah, but as a convertible, I mean, I was keen to see what the 220 had on offer. So 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged motor, 135 kilowatts, 230 newtons, and it drives really well. I had the one on with it had the M package on it as well, so that had the sport wheels on it, it had the sport kit, a couple of the nice trims, just nicely spec'd. Sadly, that adds a lot of money to the price, but I was pleasantly surprised by the vehicle. It gave you a nice balance of it was a nice balance of power, drivability, fuel economy, and still good looks. And South Africa's a fantastic country for driving a convertible. It really is.
But can I ask this? And I mean,
sure.
This is a question I've also been asked. Is convertible in terms of safety, can it compare? And surely the new ones these days, I mean, is safety a factor?
Yes and no, I believe. I mean, this is personal opinion. Yes and no. If they want it, they're going to get it. Plain and simple. They need to get it away from there as well. So yes, I think it would be more of a threat in terms of vandalism than just outright theft. Theft from the vehicle, but not necessarily theft of the vehicle.
But also in terms of structure, let's be honest. I mean, if you do end up in an accident, is the convertible in terms? I mean,
yes, just as safe, just as if not more, in a sense, because the manufacturers spend a lot of time making sure that the convertible is not going to be any less unsafe or dangerous than the coupe or the hardtop version of it. So they build in the necessary structures, whether it be in the A-pillar, whether it be in pop-out rollover hoops, in the chassis itself. Now that is also slightly bittersweet in that sense, and in doing that and having to make it as stiff as what it is, you've just cut the roof off of it. So it can be very flexible, can ruin the handling of it as well.
Yeah.
We were speaking about it as well, single-sided swing arms on the bikes.
Yes.
And you're getting single-sided forks now as well. And the stability does have a different feel to it. What do they need to do? That other swing arm, that one that's actually carrying that weight, or in this case now the chassis that's carrying the weight, needs to be strengthened and beefed up. So that adds a bit of weight to it. As much as you've taken the roof down, you've still got the roof mechanism.
But it doesn't compromise the safety, is what you're saying.
It doesn't compromise the safety. The vehicle may suffer a little bit in terms of performance, and the handling may not be as pin sharp as what it is in a tin top, but it's still an engaging drive. And especially when you're going with a vehicle like BMW, from a manufacturer like BMW, you know that they're doing the homework.
100%.
And the styling of it was you know me, I'm one, I like the style, and BMW interiors don't blow me away. This one was acceptable, but it was the exterior styling that I thought they had included a couple of beautiful cues into. It's got a chrome line that runs all the way from the mirror, but it runs down the side, all the way around the back, where basically the roof is, or would be, and back to the other mirror. So it runs like in a U shape right around the car, and that rear deck has been rolled and styled so that it looks like a yacht. And there's just a couple of design cues in it that are just very, very well thought out, that makes the car look extremely elegant, makes it look low, wide, flat, very, very sporty. And then, of course, they throw the M Sport kit on it, and it genuinely turns heads.
I was going to ask now, is it a head turner?
Absolutely.
That's your final...
Absolutely. Maybe sometimes for the wrong reasons. You can sort of hear people muttering under their breath about...
jealousy, like more...
Yeah, I think it's a bit jealousy based, but it's, look at that poser, look at that,
Okay, but it turns the heads, which is the head turning factor that you like.
I don't drive a car for other people. I drive a car for myself, and I love convertible motoring. I love... taking the roof down, whether it be a Targa top, T-tops, a full-blown convertible. Awesome. There's just something special, and my favorite is to run a convertible, believe it or not, at night. A convertible at night.
Not in winter, though.
Not in our winters. Not in our winters here, no. But like we're saying, South Africa's climate is so fantastic that you can do it.
We can enjoy that.
You can do it, yeah.
So if you want to see more about the review, you can go on to the video review section of the AutoTrader.co.za website, or you can visit Auto Central page on Cliff Central as well. We'll have it up there soon.
It'll be uploaded there as well. So yes. You can sign up for the newsletter as well that goes out on about a weekly basis, and that's on AutoTrader.co.za. Go and sign up for the newsletter there, and you'll get
some fantastic
all the news and reviews and that. And when a new video drops,
it tells you straight away.
It tells you straight away, and pretty much you're getting it right to your doorstep.
But now I'm curious, our hashtag 99-cent new car tip. Do we have that for today yet, or do we have to get that on Twitter?
I was hunting for it, but I think it's on Twitter somewhere. I need to find it. I haven't been able to find it.
So let us know if you've got it. But go on to AutoTrader SA hashtag it's Auto Central or AutoTrader. Well, it's actually hashtag 99-cent new car, and let us know if you know what the tip is. Yeah,
so it's not cent spelled out. It's just
99C new car. And let us know if you have a tip on that as well.
At AutoTrader SA, go and follow it there.
But we're going into the fourth week already? And
we're nearing the end. We're really nearing the end. So but if you go onto the website as well, the terms and conditions are there. You'll be able to get all the previous tips
and you can still make your process.
That sort of stuff on the website. And you'll be able to make a decision from there.
All right. So, that's going to be it's over 200,000 Rand vehicle in terms of value as well. It's a new car, by the way, that you can win. So don't miss out on that one.
Well, it is pinned to the top of the AutoTrader SA Twitter page, so you don't even have to look for it.
Well, Ruben, we'll ask you once we can reveal what car it is,
yes.
where it's on the scale, on the voting.
And actually, I'm quite keen because popular vehicle.
I think that's going to do very well.
Yeah.
One of the things which is impressive with BMW's convertibles is that they tend to be, not just only them, they are slightly heavier than the coupes because of the fact that they're so solid.
Yeah. Okay, so now, thanks for that review. So just again, if you want to go look for it, just go onto the review section of the AutoTrader.co.za website. But now I got some interesting things that affects all of us. It's insurance fraud. Now, my question is, are you part of it? Are you causing it? Or are you being affected, by the whole process?
Wilmarie, I think everybody's just going to say that, oh, no, I'm being affected by it. Because who's going to admit to fraud? Come on.
But there is a lot. You know what? We have to be... we can't allow for this, even if it's someone close to you. If someone's sitting with a smile on their face and they've caused, they're contributing to the fraud factor, then you can anonymously
I thought I was the one with the dodgy voice.
Yeah. Be nice. So let me just, and insurance companies are now also using the polygraph testing setup as well. But, to see if you claim, is it valid or you're lying about it? But you still have you have a choice at the end of the day whether you want to do it or not. So they can't enforce it on you.
Yeah, they can't enforce it. Yeah. And with the number of claims that do get made, it's, to sit there and get everyone through there with somebody that is trained and registered and is legal to sit there and perform a polygraph test. No, I think it's only going to be extreme cases.
Well, it is, and they say here as well, they also give you the right to, you've got to have legal representation when you do that and agree to that. So there's a few things to keep in mind. But just to give you guys an idea, the South African Insurance Association says that in 2008, the short-term insurance industry paid claims worth 22 billion. Now, in Pearson's estimates, it means that it's around 6.6 billion of the money paid was due to fraud. So it was claims made that shouldn't have been made, Yes, I mean, we were talking about the third-party claims as well, at one stage. Similar kind of basis as people. So they're giving us examples here of the type of claims.
Yeah, we've touched on it several times, whether it came from the hijackings. I mean, some of our past guests, just about all of them have spoken about, how fraud creeps in there and affects the industry.
Well, they're saying, some of the types of claims that are currently happening that are fraudulent is people are taking cars over the border, they're selling them, and then they're claiming that it's stolen. So they're getting two cashbacks, call it that. I mean, that's a big one. And then there's some that's, if a vehicle's already damaged, they'll park it in an area where it can just get a little more damage and then claim big time for it as well. So where your claim should have been maybe 20-30 grand, it ends up being 60.
We don't want to give them too many ideas out there, but I mean...
Well, I'm giving these so that you can go and...
identify them,
yes,
pretty much, I think. To note, it's not right to sit there if you haven't been in an incident, in an actual incident, or if you're claiming for more and you...
well, more, that's the thing. Now your car's lost, okay? Now it's stolen. So now the insurance companies are saying people are not only claiming for the car, they're claiming for a sound system it never had. They're claiming for goods in the boot that was never there. And you must just hope that they don't end up getting the car back and seeing that your claim was wrong, because then you can go to jail. So, I mean, they can go to jail plus whatever damages they won't pay out for at all.
No.
So the consequence is huge.
Yeah,
if you get caught.
I feel for the insurance companies. Yes, everybody sees them as the big bad wolves and that they'll repudiate a claim at just the slightest little inconsistency. But this is why they do it. The reason why they sit there and they say, no, we're not paying out because that is wrong, is because, and fraud goes so much further to even just incorrectly specifying where the vehicle is parked at night.
100%. It's a technical, and they say this here. People, you've got to understand as well, if you, just by changing the facts on where you were parked, what happened and what didn't happen, it's fraud.
That's fraud. Well, even when you apply for the insurance, you know that, okay, the car parks outside on the road, but I'm going to say it's behind a locked gate.
Exactly.
Because then my premiums are going to come down. Or I'm going to say it's my brother-in-law's car, something of the sort.
Yeah.
That is fraud. If you're sitting there and you've got an insurance scheme that is on your car and the facts that you have submitted to them aren't 100% accurate, that's fraud at the end of the day.
It is.
As soon as you make a claim, it's fraud.
What do they call it? These white-collar crimes. It's big. It affects all of us. And people wonder why insurance installments go up. It can't go down because they've got to accommodate for 6.6 billion.
That's it. And you and I,
in fraud claims.
You and I, and the people that are sitting there abiding by the rules, are sitting there and made to pay for it.
Yeah. That's why I say, please, they, what is it? It's the South African Insurance Crime Bureau now that started in, I think it's 2008. It was launched in 2008, and they seem to be doing well, and they're really they've saved up to, 2 million is not a lot if you think of the impact of the fraud, but it's still, it is a
I hope
percentage.
That's not since 2008. I hope
there's a bit more, yes.
Because if you're saying that it's billions per year, that's a mere drop in the bucket.
Exactly. But they are working on another, what they're saying here, 55 million. So it kind of just, that helps a little bit, But the companies who have asked or contributed to the launch of the Insurance Crime Bureau is insurance companies like Regent, Hollard, Santam, Mutual and Federal, Zurich, I don't know of them, Lion of Africa, I don't know of them either. And then there's ABSA and Standard Bank. So the banks are also, they're all working with them. So if you think that you're going to be, put in a...
They're losing money. So
100%.
This is in their best interest to get involved
100%.
and to sit and support the initiative.
Yeah. And they're saying, so what I'm saying is if you belong to these insurance companies, well, whether you belong to them or not, don't even consider it, do things the right way. But if you know of someone that is actually doing it, that's affecting the rest of us, there is an insurance fraud line. It's 086 000 2526. 086 000 2526. And I think it's relevant, because those guys are sitting there with a smile on their face and they're telling you the story. Meanwhile, it's affecting the rest of us in a big way. I got onto this story because I found this article. I don't know if you saw this. On a teenager sets fire to his Ferrari 458 because he wants a different car.
I read that.
Really?
I read that story. So he's got a 458, but shortly after he gets. And it's bought for him, okay? His father bought it for him. Gets the 458, and shortly after that, the Speciale is launched, and he decides, no, he doesn't want what is essentially the old model, just the bog standard 458. I mean, shame, poor guy. And he wants the Speciale, so he goes and he sets it alight. Or he has it set alight.
No, he goes to a brothel or something.
How old is this guy?
19.
19.
He organizes for friends or colleagues or whomever to set it alight. And he claims, and unfortunately for him, the insurance found out about it.
Yeah, there was a camera.
Yes, I mean, someone obviously viewed it, and he's now sitting on. They ordered him to pay 30,000 euros. He's given a suspended sentence of 1 year and 9 months in order to pay 30,000 euros. Now, my question is, was that worth it? I don't think so. So if you do get caught, there is a big price to pay.
I don't doubt that, with the systems and that they have in place, that his name and his vehicles and that will be completely red flagged, in the sense for future,
forever.
Yeah. So he's dropped the ball there in a big way.
Yes, he's going to now he should just start his own insurance company with the money his dad's got, because otherwise no one's going to insure him moving forward.
As we've found out, he's going to lose money.
Yes. So, just so you guys know about that, I think that's so wrong. But we were talking earlier about, just quickly before we have to start tying up, I don't know where the time went. So the African car sales, we were saying some's gone up, some's gone down.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think and what do you think has gone up in sales? Are we heading towards a crisis with car sales? Now, this is something, Ruben, I'm sure you would have some stats on as well.
Yeah, no doubt. No, feel free, Ruben. Feel free to dive in, yeah.
After the Ford event, there's no doubt about it. Ford's the guys to watch.
In terms of car sales.
Sure. I mean, they've got so many new models. And by the way, before I forget, they've also got a Mustang that they're giving away.
Oh, my.
Really?
I can't quite remember the details, but it might be worthwhile checking out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I'm quite keen on that launch. We've spoken about that as well.
It's a beautiful convertible. It would suit. I think you'd like it.
Nice. Nothing wrong. I'm going to have to chat to Manish about that.
So do you know which ones have gone up and down? This is very interesting, actually.
I know because you told me.
Okay, but you shouldn't say that. You know what? What I'm upset about a little bit is the export of our vehicles.
It's so easy to explain.
Is on a rise, yes.
Yeah, because of the poor rand. It's the weak rand. The rand is going down, and that just makes it absolute gold mine. All of a sudden, for every 100 cars you buy, you're getting one free car.
330,000 for the year that's exported.
South Africa is a big export market. It's fantastic. It really puts a feather in my cap, proudly to South African in that sense, that we are making vehicles and we make components and that and parts of vehicles that are of that caliber that can be shipped worldwide, that can be bought all over. I mean, I believe Ford Ranger, something like 90% of the Ford Ranger is manufactured locally. That's any Ranger anywhere in the world.
And I mean, it's not all bad. Westbank is saying a total of 138,485. Let's just round it up to 140,000 applications were received just in July. That's a big number. So, I mean, I'm assuming out of that, they're not giving a percentage here, but finance applications for new vehicles grew 3.2% year on year, which is good. I mean, you can go into the AutoTrader website now and you can actually look at some comparisons on new vehicles as well. So that's obviously, it is growing.
But if they are saying that the sales figures numbers are down, but the amount of finance requests is up.
It's so high, yes.
That just means that South African consumers are putting themselves into more and more debt.
They can't afford. So obviously they get declined, basically.
Not necessarily being declined, but
in a nice way,
they're trying to purchase something there on an HP program and that they actually cannot afford. There's fewer and fewer purchases of used vehicles or cash purchases.
Yeah. Well,
people are making debt.
They are and can't necessarily afford it. So, but I mean, the applications are there. Just quickly, just in case you haven't heard, that there does seem to be a little bit of a warning coming up of some fuel shortage. So make sure you fill up your car today and tomorrow before some of the petrol stations run out. And it does cost a hefty little amount to fill up mine. I did it yesterday. Now, just quickly before we've got to tie up as well, on the car of the year, we're going to, thanks for that, Rueben. It was really fantastic having you there and getting the right info. On the bike of the year, they've actually launched today. They're busy today, and next Wednesday we'll be going to the big celebration to see who's going to be the winner. So they left from Red Star and gone to Nullspray today. And it's also, I've been involved in that 2 years ago. I was part of this, the testing of the bikes. And that's why it was so interesting for me to see how the cars work. Because
how many bikes have you got?
They've got, I think it's 16 bikes that's going, which is quite big, and quite a few journalists that have gone there. I think one is actually a scooter, they were saying, but the scooter was taken there.
I feel sorry for that convoy.
No, they took it there so that the guys can actually ride it there. So, but they say it's going to be very interesting to see who's actually. You can go onto the bike show website to see the bikes that are actually part of the bike of the year selection process. And again, it's a wow factor that they are saying.
I don't doubt that in a year's time you'll be going to the AutoTrader website for that. Because it is. And I mean, bikes,
100%.
We keep on talking about it each and every time after we have this show, about how AutoTrader, we need to start looking more and more at the bike things, and it is something that we are looking at. So don't despair. You don't need to run off to far and distant places. There's bike content coming.
And we'll be bringing you some feedback next Wednesday as well, and I'll also be doing it from the show to see who the actual winner is as well. But the key thing is, it's a little looser. It's not as hectic as with you guys. We get to have our own little wow factor of what you like and don't like. Yes, there's a scoring process.
How many jury members?
16.
Okay.
Yeah. Call them jury members. I don't know. So we'll see what comes out of that. And I know this because I was there, but it will be interesting to see the outcome.
Maybe just call them hectic bikers.
Yes. And this whole process is sponsored by Pirelli. So we'll talk a little bit more about Pirelli and the whole bike of the year next time. So what's coming up? There's no races coming up this weekend. Can you believe it? Yes. But just so that you guys know, if you did miss the GP from last weekend, Marc Marquez got first, Jorge unfortunately second, and Valentino third, but he is still leading the championship. So I'm very happy about that.
Good return.
Yeah. So we'll be back next week, same place, same time. We'll bring you a little bit more info on the bike of the year. And then also remember to get the review on autotrader.co.za, or you can follow us on SA Speed Queen.
At AutoTrader SA or at Chad Luckhoff.
Remember, secret to a balanced life, keep moving.
Unreal. Uncensored. Unradio.
CliffCentral.com